There is a fresh, blank page sitting in front of me, and as I stare at it, it seems to stare back. It's always so hard to get started, I think. I just wish I could get over the hump without climbing the hill. I feel like Sisyphus. Every time I think I've gotten to the peak, I roll back down to the start. I put my pen to the pristine white page and pause, thinking, agonizing over what sort of approach I will take this time. Will I be too eager? Will I lose interest? Is it going to be too long enough? Short enough? Authentic or intelligent enough? Blank ink has begun to pull where the pen's tip is still pressed to the paper, and I watched it soak in as any answers elude me. Still, there's no way to break the block other than to just start writing, directionless or otherwise. There's a girl sitting in a room, and with this first phrase, the floodgate has opened. She's wearing a simple dress, blue with a floral print. The room around her is nondescript and familiar. There's no door or window. There's a bed frame and mattress, a side table, and a chair which this girl occupies. Behind this chair, there is a simple floor length mirror. I fixed it to the wall. Above it, a clock tickling quietly. She sits gingerly on the edge of the chair, as though ready to sprint into action at the drop of a hat. Rip with an anxious energy. She keeps her back to the mirror behind her, as though it might jump up and bite her if she looks at it. Her foot is tapping, and she shifts and shuffles lightly in place. It seems like she's waiting for something. In a confined space, with no entrance or exit, it is unclear what she's waiting for. She twists the hem of her skirt around and around her finger, trying to place how she got it. When she last changed, to her, the dress feels old and familiar, and yet somehow untouched. She adjusted, smoothed the fabric, and then changes her mind and adjusts it again. I'm finally gaining a little bit of momentum. This feels good. This place has direction. It feels like it's moving at a good pace. And the ink is beginning to shine a deep brown, right on track. She looks around at the furniture in front of her, never darting to so much as a glance back towards the mirror, while the room is static and quiet. Her distress continues to mount. All at once, she springs up from her perch and crosses to the bed, hungry eyes haunting the area for something. She feels like she's ready checked, but she just has to go looking again. bed is bare, stripped to the mattress. She pulls open the drawers of the side table and finds nothing. She knows this room must have been well furnished once, and yet has apparently been slowly stripped it down to its current barren state. Nonetheless, she combs the room once more. The clock ticks on, and as she searches with her back still to the mirror, the hour hand edged towards 6, crawling closer, closer, closer. The clock strikes 6. I take a moment to crack my knuckles and shake my head. But only a moment. The ink is getting fresher and fresher. And I don't think I want to waste a drop. A hollow, assertive tone sounds off. She freezes, halting her search. Goosebumps rise on her skin, every hair standing on end. Her breathing becomes shallow and rapid, and she will spend this next hour slightly lightheaded. Is something happening? An unseen threat activating some deep rooted fight or fight response? Or has she done this to herself, imagining danger, being delusional? The clock continues to chime, unconcerned with the panic it has caused. She sits back down on her chair, foot tapping wildly, head in hands, as she tries and fails to steady her breathing. The clock ticks cheerfully away, and from her point of view seems to slip all too quickly towards 7. Anxiety has overwhelmed her, and is all she can do not to faint. She stands again and crosses to the mattress, sitting gingerly on the edge, craning her torso, twisting away from the mirror as fully as possible. She ponders her situation, combing through her memories from the start, trying to recall what landed her in this strange experience, rackling her imagination for an end, trying to think of how she could escape that tickling clock, as well as the mirror. Nothing comes to her, and eventually she allows herself to lay down. The anxiety has strained her energy, and in spite of the unanswered questions circling her head, she's unable to doze off. When the clock strikes 7, she awakes with a start and is immediately racked with pain and discomfort. Her unfortunate breathing and the physical toll of this new hour has rendered her dizzy and confused. Struggling to think clearly, her arms ache, sore with every little motion, and tender to the touch. Her legs have fared not better. Raw skin stinkling against the cool air of the room. She feels like she sat on a blind mine, or a dagger that's sitting up agitates her lower abdomen terribly. It's like something is trying to claw its way out of her core. And although the pain is placed low and limited and rich, it is still uniquely impossible to ignore. She cries out and discovers that her throat was not left out of this destruction. It feels tight, raw, and she realizes it must be near swollen shut. She still can't breathe, but just barely. It is clear that the danger she sensed was very real, although unclear if she could have done something about it. She rolls out of a bed and falls to the floor on her hands and knees. The impact hurts. Something does in this hour. After a moment, she comes up to a sitting position, facing away from the mirror. I write fervently, my pale hand dragging across line after line of a copper colored text, shining bright and wet against the light. She finally turns and glares at the mirror from the corner of her eyes. Her reflection out of sight. It is a soul she's seen to heighten her discomfort as she groans and shifts in response to her new injuries. Her mind is foggy, thanks to the toll the clock has taken on her. And as she moves, a distinct irritation begins cutting through the haze. How dare is the mirror staring at her like this? How dares confront her? What sort of a cocky, domineering place of a furniture is this to threaten her soul? She stands slowly, swaying slightly. She will show this thing, this ridiculous thing. The clock ticks closer and closer towards 8 as she approaches the mirror, drawing her dress up over her body. She shakes it out and went up to cover the monstrous thing with her own clothing once and for all. As she crosses to confront this beast, her reflection draws into her sight for the first time, and it stops her dead in her tracks. I can feel myself losing the thread slightly. Truthfully, I'm having a little trouble thinking clearly as well. But my work, it shines so brightly. Red ink glinting in the overhead light. She stares wide-eyed and frozen at the mottled purple and white figure facing her. At this angle, only her half of her body is visible, mostly her arm and parts of her leg. But that is more than enough. Crescent shaped bruises pepper her arm, and as she watches, teeth marks appear and dig deeper into her flesh. Glancing down, she can see that the hour has left identical injuries on each arm. Her legs matching each other as well. She looks back to the mirror. Long, thin scratches trace from the button of her foot, wrapping around her ankle and carving a path all the way up, traversing her skin, crossing her knee, dragging up her thigh to connect. She looks away, shifting out of sight, but not before she glimpses the long, thin mark encircling her neck, which is certain growing darker by the moment. She shoves her head back into her dress and once again puts her back to the mirror, searching desperately for a way to hide it. Her bleary eyes comb the barren room once again as the grip on her neck tightens and the bite marks begins to draw blood. She's running out of time. She's running out of ideas. The clock is about to strike 8. I'm so dizzy now, and my pen is gushing faster than I can keep up with. My vision blurs, and I can feel my center of the balance is shifting far too much for comfort. But I simply can't stop now. Not so close to the end, just a bit further. She's still searching as the blood begins to drip down her arms and onto the floor, identical tracks to tracing down her legs. Finally, desperate, exhausted, she lunges towards the bed and rips the mattress off. Although she's barely able to stand herself, she somehow managed to drag the unwieldy thing across the room. With the last dregs of her energy, she stands the mattress up against the mirror, leaving smeared red handprints behind. She sings trumpets and crawls back to her chair to rest. As she climbs onto the chair, bruised and bleeding steadily, the clock strikes 8. I try to continue, but my limp hand drops the pen, which bounces off my desk and onto the ground, as much as the start of the next line. God damn it. God damn it. I was so close. I slumped out of my own chair and crawled my way to my bed, crossing my cluttered, cozy room in the least efficient way possible. I rise briefly, only to flop face down onto the mattress and immediately fall into a deep sleep. I wake up, eventually my head kind of hurts, and I'm so thirsty. I sit up and immediately reach for the water on the bedside table, downing the entire thing in one go. I race for the closest to tap and repeat the process, so desperate to quench my thirst that water spills out of the corner of my mouth and onto my chest. Nothing that won't dry. Most things dry eventually, in my experience. Finally, satisfied and toting another full glass of water, I wandered back to the center of the room, setting the glass down on my side table. I crossed my arm and taken to the work on my desk. Once again, sheets filled with dark ink give way to bright red, drip-covered passages written in blood, culminating in about half a page completely saturated with the drying blood. I sigh and grab some cleaning supplies. A stained old rag and some peroxide will take care of this. I got so much closer to the end of this time. Maybe I just need a few more rounds. Each try, The pen does bleed less and less. Man, the first draft was really a huge mess. I still have stained on the floor from it, but I'm certain that each time I try, I get further, and the pen bleeds less. I mop up the last of the ink and settle into my chair, already fired up for another attempt. This is a girl sitting in a room. She's wearing a simple dress, blue with a floral print. The room around her is a nondescript and familiar. There is no door or window. There is an empty bed frame, a set side table, and a chair, which the girl occupies. Behind this chair, there's a simple floor length mirror affixed to the wall. Above it, a clock tickling quietly.